of finding a way to make the postseason. Two teams that are vying for postseason berths in a really crowded AFC. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the LA Chargers battled yesterday at SoFi Stadium. This is a game that turned from bizarrely boring and bland to intriguing, stunning, and entertaining. Because that fourth quarter was one of the wildest fourth quarters in an NFL game that I've seen in quite some time. There are certainly some games. We saw the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens last year in the month of November. That fourth quarter was wild when Lamar Jackson had to leave for like a couple plays, and he came back on a 4th and 15 and led the Ravens to a comeback win. So it's not matching that game. It's certainly not matching the Chiefs and the Rams from a couple years ago at the Coliseum for a Monday night game. But the fourth quarter in particular was absolutely epic from both of these teams. And for the Chargers in particular, they led 27-10 deep into the third quarter, late into the third quarter. And how the Pittsburgh Steelers managed to put on this furious rally to score 27 points in the fourth quarter, to come all the way back and actually take the lead at one point in the fourth quarter, 37-34, was mind-boggling. And probably what was more mind-boggling was how they did it. First, you had the blocked punt that set up the Steelers offense inside the 5. Then you had the tip pass, the batted pass by Cameron Hayward that must have legitimately sat up in the air for 5 full seconds before Cam Sutton tracked it down and intercepted it in the red zone that set up the Steelers offense once again. And then again, at some point, Boswell puts the Steelers up by 3, and you're thinking to yourself, how in the world did this game just happen? Are we watching the 2021 Chargers, or are we watching the historically bad Chargers teams that came up with gaffes and new ways to lose, invented new ways to lose every single year? And that's why, to me, yesterday was a franchise-altering win for the LA Chargers. Did this game catapult them into the playoffs? No. Although at the moment they are in the playoff picture because of the win. But this was one of those instances where it's one of those types of games where historically the Chargers lose this type of game. This is a game that they find a way to lose. They've always been the butt end of the joke, and they've invented new gaffes. Always the Chargers just blew games. In fact, if you look at them historically, since 2011, and this was an interesting stat that was brought up during the broadcast, since 2011, the Chargers have blown 32 games in which they've led by double digits in the fourth quarter, which was the most in the NFL. And coming into this season, coming into this game, they only had one instance where they led by double digits in the fourth quarter, and they blew that game, which was a massive improvement given, again, in the past, what they had choked away. And all of these stats were resurfacing, or appeared to be resurfacing, given how close it looked like the Steelers were on the verge of pulling this game off. The Steelers, in their own right, were 0-230 when they've trailed by 17 or more points in the second half. And this was about to be the first time they were going to collect the win. So this would have been a game that the Chargers would have lost. In fact, last year, this is a game that they lose. They were 7-9 last year. And of their 9 losses, 7 were decided by 1 possession. 3 were decided by 3 points or fewer. And 4 of them, they either had a lead during or entering the fourth quarter, and they blew those games. But that didn't happen yesterday. They rallied. Herbert executed a great game-winning drive that hit Mike Evans for the game-winning 53-yard touchdown bomb. And that was a wrap. And this was a really impressive win, not only given how crowded the AFC is, and how very much alive and open the conference is for the taking. So trying to keep pace with all the other teams is critical, especially for the Chargers, battling in the AFC West. Now the Chiefs are in front of them in their own division. And to just stave off that furious rally, and it was a furious rally by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, 27 points in the fourth quarter for an offense that had been pretty anemic the majority of the year. Big Ben still looks extremely slow. He is really slow. And for a game of that magnitude to end this time in the Chargers' favor speaks to the improvements and the growth and the development. Justin Herbert continues to impress, especially athletically. I mean, obviously, his passing speaks for itself. He had 382 passing yards, like 3 touchdowns. His arm talent is tremendous, but it's his athleticism with his legs that he continues to display. He was collecting huge first downs with his legs. He was gashing the defense of the Pittsburgh Steelers for 90 rushing yards. He led the Chargers in rushing yards yesterday. Just gashing them for huge runs at a time. And that was really the difference, was his ability to get outside the pocket and to make things happen with his legs. Obviously, Austin Eckler, 4 touchdowns yesterday. That was big. 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 receiving touchdowns. And that's certainly not something to sneeze at. You collect 4 touchdowns in an NFL game. That's high praise. That deserves high praise. And again, I think Brandon Staley is doing a really great job with this team. They're 6-4, and they've got a really good roster. I mean, this is a loaded team that is finally starting to fully play up to their potential. So we'll see. Right now, they are in the playoff picture. If the playoffs were to start today, I believe they'd be the 6th seed, maybe the 7th seed. But it was an impressive win yesterday. It was an impressive win last night for the LA Chargers.